I see you. I see you there, scrolling, phone in hand, with 101 drafts saved. Your notes app is filled with brilliant ideas that you've never posted, magic that you've literally kept from the world, genius that you've convinced yourself to save for later, as if later is guaranteed. But I'm here to tell you that in case you've forgotten, this is your one shot at being you. This isn't a dress rehearsal. This is your life. And I believe we need to talk about that more. Whether it's becoming a content creator, writing that book that's always been on your heart, starting the podcast, taking the next leap in your career, speaking up at work, asking for that promotion, pitching yourself for that raise, or even finally just saying yes to going on that damn date. All of it requires you to feel safe being seen. And if you're waiting for the perfect moment to arrive, for the nerves to disappear, or for a divine sign from the sky to finally fall down and give you some kind of permission, well, I'm here to tell you that you're not getting any younger. And I'm not saying that youth is your only asset, but you need to understand that time is. And time, it's passing every single day. So don't make the mistake of waiting for the perfect opportunity, because the truth is that that opportunity is already here. It's waiting for you to shift to a new timeline, to rise up and to say yes. Now, one of the biggest mindset shifts that's helped me on my own journey is this. This is my one shot at being me. No one else can show up as I can, because no one else has my voice, my essence, my presence. There's only one me. And let me tell you something, there is only one you. I've never met a person exactly like me, and you're never going to meet someone exactly like you either. Because the truth is, we all have something wildly unique. Your personality, your style, your vision, your energy. You didn't just happen by accident. You are meant to be here in this exact lifetime, at this exact time in history, with your exact makeup. And that desire to put yourself out there, to be seen, to share, to shine, yeah, it's not some kind of fluke. It is of divine creation. And if you have been there sitting, waiting for some kind of sign from the universe, consider this your sign. Stop withholding your magic from the world, because at some point, holding yourself back, it isn't humble anymore. It's actually selfish, and it's allowing your insecurities to win over your divine purpose. It's choosing fear over service, because if you're meant to impact people, if your dreams involve helping, creating, shifting, inspiring others, then you not doing that thing, you not putting yourself out there, it's withholding your medicine from the people who need it most. And that, to me, that's a complete shame. Because here's the thing, no one is thinking about you as much as you're thinking about yourself. Yeah, you're important. You're the main character in your story, but you're not that important. And I say that with so much love. You've got to get your head around the fact that the fear that you're holding on to is actually costing you something. It's costing you time, it's costing you opportunities, it's costing you fulfillment, and it's costing other people your magic. And the longer you sit on the sidelines waiting for someday, the more you delay the life that is truly meant for you. Now, that is something that I literally wish someone told me years ago. And I've been thinking so much about this line of thought over the last few weeks, because I feel like I'm finally noticing that I'm getting older. And that, I don't know why that feels so weird to say. I've always considered myself like a very young at heart person. And truthfully, I feel like I never really aged past 26. I've always kind of felt like I'm 26. Ever since I turned 26, I feel like that's been my eternal age. But lately, there has been some things happening in my life that are making me realize that time is really passing. Age is coming, and I'm not scared of age or scared of aging, but I am scared of not living this life on full out mode. I'm scared of allowing life to just wash by and move past me and to not actually live up to like my full potential. And it's made me realize how many people I know that aren't living their life full out. They're just coasting. They're just letting things pass by them. And maybe it's because they don't really notice that the time is passing, or they think that they have another shot, or they've given up because they think that it's too late. So often I get these messages that come through me and that land in my mind and in my heart. And I realize that they're not just messages for me, they're messages for someone else. And the fact that I have this podcast to be able to open up and share, it makes me believe that the messages that I get on a regular basis, they're literally for you. They're part of this collective feeling that we are going through. And if you have felt like you're sitting on the sidelines and you are being the side character in your life, then this is my call to just shift things up and start being the main character of your life. I think we all understand that we're here for a short time, not a long time, and that life does end. But although we know that that's the truth and that's going to happen, we don't think about that enough. And I know it's a really morbid topic to talk about. I know that the fact that we're not going to be here forever, it's not fun to contemplate. But I really do think that when we do contemplate it, when we do realize how fleeting life is, that is when we start to take life not more seriously, but with more intention. And I don't say all of this for you to get scared and take life super seriously and start stressing out. But I say it with so much love and compassion to encourage you to start showing up to your life with more intention. Start asking yourself, like, what do you want out of this experience? You don't get to do a redo. You don't get to do your 20s again. You don't get to do your 30s again. You don't get to do your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, your 70s. None of it gets to be done again. And yeah, you can keep showing up and trying different things, but you get one shot at where you are right now. I've been experiencing some stuff in my life recently where I realized that some opportunities that I had a few years ago, I don't have now because times have changed, things have evolved. And although I don't have regrets, I wondered to myself, like, why didn't I take those opportunities when I had the chance to take them? When the opportunity was there, when the time was right, like, why didn't I look at that and grab it by the balls and say yes? And I think it's because I didn't really quite understand the fact that things do change, times do pass. And being real with you, I didn't understand that the excuses that I was making, they were always going to be there. But the opportunity that I was making excuses about, they won't always be there. And this is like hard truth that we need to understand. Your excuses, the reasons why you can't show up, or the reasons why you're broken, that you suck, that you're not enough, all of these stories that you have, until you work through those stories, until you release those beliefs, until you get into your subconscious mind and you reprogram it and you expand your nervous system's capacity, like those excuses, those limits, they will always be there. But the opportunity that you have right here, right now, the things that are in front of you, they may not always be there. And you really have to recognize this as a person. And we don't like hearing that. Something I think about quite often is timelines. I really do believe that there are so many different ways every single person's life can go. Your life can go in so many different directions. There are infinite amount of timelines that are available to you. There are timelines where you are incredibly successful and happy and abundant and free and just living your absolute vision board life. And there are timelines where you're doing okay, it's going all right, but you're never really quite getting wherever it is that you wanted to go. There are timelines where maybe you have kids and you have a beautiful family and you go move to a farm and you go off grid. And there are other timelines where you decide not to have kids and you travel the world and you go and live your life very unconventionally. Like, there are so many different timelines available to you, and all of those timelines open up through choices that you make. And I've started to realize in my own life that so many of the timelines that I've experienced, the heightened timelines, the timelines that I'm like, wow, I can't believe that this is my life. They happened because I decided to heal. They happened because I decided to get out of a loop that I came into this world with. And I really do think that unless we move through the things that are blocking us in this lifetime, they'll probably carry on with us into future lifetimes, and they'll be passed down into our children and in our lineage, because at the end of the day, so much of what I feel I'm healing and so much of what I see my clients and my students healing, it's the things that other people have chosen not to heal. It's the things that other people have carried with them for years and sometimes even generations, that one person decides to show up and be the cycle breaker. And if if you can relate to this, I want you to know that you're not cursed, you're not doomed, you're not stuck in this pattern that your family's been forever. Like, you are the one that is breaking it. And that's why it feels so heavy, because you're literally breaking generations and generations of the same loop, of the same pain, of the same trauma that you have decided to finally cut through. You really need to practice tapping into your desires more than your doubts, because your doubts and your desires, they both have a voice. Your desires have the voice of your higher self, and the doubts that you experience, they have the voice of your lower self. And the issue is that quite often the volume of our lower self, that is the volume that is turned up. That is the volume that we listen to more because it's familiar. And this actually brings me full circle to something that I wrote about in my book, Magnetic. And I think it's something that gets really misunderstood in the personal growth and healing space. We hear the idea of alignment so much. Everybody wants to be in alignment. And I want to be in alignment as well, right? We want to have that feeling where we feel just synced up with everything and divinely guided and everything is in flow. But the thing that so many people don't understand is that moving to a place of alignment isn't always going to feel easy. And this is something that I think gets really misunderstood. We get sold this idea that being in alignment is always going to feel good. And yes, while I do believe that once you get into alignment and you finally line things up and you're moving towards your soul's mission and your deepest desires, things will start to feel in flow. The actual process of getting to that place of alignment, sometimes that is when you are going to feel the most misaligned, because that is when you are breaking the patterns in your subconscious mind. That is when you are going against the loops and the behaviors that you've been going about for years and years and years. This is when you are breaking free from the chains that have kept you at the same level. So actually moving to a place of alignment, moving to a place where you are showing up and you're doing the things that are divinely meant for you, that is actually not always an easy path. And I think this is where some people kind of cut themselves short, because they start to feel uncomfortable on the way to success. They start to feel like things are hard, things are challenging, they're being tested and they're being knocked down and it's just not going their way. But you have to realize quite often these tests, these trials, this is the price that you pay. Getting to where it is that you want to go, it isn't always going to be easy. It isn't always going to feel like flow. And I know this firsthand, because some of the things that I know that I was divinely meant to do came with some of my biggest challenges. They came with some of my biggest insecurities, some of my biggest blocks, some of my biggest limitations also came with my dreams and with my desires. And facing those challenges and overcoming them, that has been the price I've had to pay in order to get to where I am right now. So don't fall into this false narrative that alignment is always going to feel good. Yes, when you get to a place of alignment, that might feel good. But the process of becoming aligned, of moving from the misalignment to the alignment, that's not always going to be easy. And this is why so many people give up. This is why so many people play small. But I don't want you to play small. I want you to fully go all out for your life. I want you to recognize that you only get one shot as you in this body, in this time, and this is your chance to go and do the things that you know are divinely meant for you. And it's not always going to feel good, and it's not always going to feel easy. And maybe it is going to come with some of the biggest challenges, tests, and trials that you have ever had to go through. But they are meant for you. They are there to help you evolve, to help you grow, to help you step into the identity and the person that you were meant to be. And so I can really bring this idea in this episode full circle for you. And you know that I'm not just saying this stuff, but I'm actually embodying it. I want to share with you like a little bit about my journey with writing my book and speaking on my podcast and teaching the things that I'm teaching. I am someone that has been blessed with dyslexia. And I've mentioned that so many times on the podcast. But at the same time, I was also born with a deep desire to write. Ever since I was a little kid, I loved writing, especially when I was really little. I loved writing poetry. When I was going through some really challenging stuff as a kid, the way that I would verbalize myself and the way that I would talk about what was going on was through poems. I had this little blue book that my grandma gave me that used to sit in this suitcase. And in this book, I would write these poems. And most of the poems were about pain and feelings and hiding things. One of the poems that really sums up so much of my childhood is actually called Doors. And in the poem, I write, So many doors, so many keys, so many locks that we cannot see. The loving girl is filled with woe. The happy boy is filled with sorrow. But the wooden door shields their pain, but the door is nothing but a lie. And the poem goes on from there, but you get the idea. It was all about shielding pain and trauma and hiding behind a door, which for me, for most of my childhood, was this like mask that I would hide behind. I was always hiding the things that were happening to me. And the reason I share this is like I started writing really young. And although I had a bit of depth with writing and a flow, and there was definitely some kind of, I don't want to say gift because I don't know if I'm a gifted writer, but I had this heart and this feeling to my writing. Although I had all of this, I also had and have dyslexia. And my dyslexia also gave me a speech impediment. So when I was little, I used to have to go to a speech pathologist because even now there are certain words that I say and ways that I say things that can get a little jumbled because my reading and my writing just definitely wasn't at the age that it should be. Even now, I spell things wrong all of the time. And I rely heavily on Grammarly and even sometimes these days ChatGPT just to correct my spelling and make sure that I've got commas right and I haven't changed the words out and what I'm wanting to say is actually what I'm saying. And I have these deep desires to talk, to perform, to share, to write at the same time of having all of these challenges in these same areas. Now, if I was to believe that living an aligned life and feeling in alignment was always going to be good, it was always going to be rosy, it was always going to feel like flow, there is absolutely no way in hell that I would have a podcast or I would have written a book. Because having this podcast, getting up, talking about things every single week, writing down ideas, producing this show, as well as writing my book and going through the crazy process of putting like a huge body of work out there, it has forced me to face some of my biggest insecurities. It has forced me to overcome and practice and heal from some of the biggest things that I feel have been my limits in life, that have been the stories that have kept me small. And the process of doing all of these things that I feel are my deepest desires have also come with a huge amount of healing. And this is what I want to remind you of. If you feel insecure about going and living your main character life, if you are there delaying things because you're waiting for things to feel perfect, to feel ready, to feel good, to feel like everything is just so aligned and it's like the most divine time where the gods have opened the doors and here I am, I'm ready. That has not been my experience in going for my dreams. That has not been my experience of living a life that to me is a life of alignment. And the thing is, I know that this is my path. I know that this is my life of alignment because when I have shown up, when I have done the work, when I have moved through the blocks, when I have faced all of the fears, all of these opportunities, all of these beautiful synchronicities, all of these things have come. However, I had to go through this stage that felt really dark at first, that felt really icky and hard and heavy. So this is why I want to remind you to get up and do the work, to face your fears, to show up on the main stage, even when everyone's laughing at you, even when no one is there watching you. And I want you to think about your life like this. So many people are waiting to perform their best work until they sold out main stage event. We are holding back our best work and where we feel we are ready to perform and put ourselves out there until someone says, hey, I've booked you for this thing, or hey, come on this show, or hey, here's this opportunity, or hey, you've sold this many tickets, or this many people bought your course. No, that's not when you are going to show up. And if that's what you're waiting for, you're doing it all wrong. Do not save your best for later. Because let me tell you something. If you are saving your best for later, if you are saving you showing up and being the biggest, fullest, brightest expression of you until there is some kind of permission slip or some magic moment, you're actually just delaying your best work. Because when you show up, even when it feels like no one is looking, when you show up, even when it feels like people are laughing at you, when you keep going for your dreams, even when it feels like no one cares, that is where you do the reps. That is where you get into the identity. You learn how to actually be and embody the version of you who is your best self. And what you need to understand is you become your best self by doing the reps, by showing up in the darkness, in the ickiness, in those tough seasons. That is where your becoming happens. That is where you start actually really embodying the version of you that you were meant to be. I have been writing and showing up and putting myself online regardless of how many likes, how many comments, how many shares I get. I have been producing things even when I didn't know people were going to book them. This is what you have to do. You have to start treating your life like it is the main stage. It's not a dress rehearsal, like the main stage is now. And when you are on your main stage, maybe only one person is there. But if you keep showing up to that main stage and you keep serving that one person, let me tell you something. That one person, they're going to tell so many other people. Then it's going to be 2 people. Then it's going to be 3 people. Then it's going to be 4 people. Then you're going to have 10 people. Then you're going to start having these groups of people that are waiting, watching, and celebrating you, all because you chose to start showing up, even when it didn't feel good. And look, if that all sounds really good and really motivating, but the actual implementation of that makes you just freak out and freeze, and you are just going, okay, I'm really motivated, but like, where do I start? How do I show up? How do I move through the ickiness? Like, how do I get through the blocks? I feel paralyzed. Then I want to remind you, I have a solution for you. I have just spent the last few months compiling absolutely everything that I have healed from, moved through, and learned when it comes to visibility and healing the wounds that are stopping you from being seen and living your life full out. And I've curated this all into a brand new course called Safe to Be Seen, the Magnetic Presence Method. I am so excited about this course because it really aligns with my mission, which is to help you become healthy, wealthy, abundant, and free. And the idea that I'm going to have so many of you walking this path of becoming safe to be seen with me and stepping into your magnetic presence, and then the ripple effect that that is going to have in the world, because so many more of you are going to feel confident, clear, and finally landed in your body to be able to show up and do the work that is meaningful for you. That just gets me so pumped up. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about Safe to Be Seen if you didn't hear me announce it last week. It is a 4-week course and it is all pre-recorded, but to celebrate the launch of Safe to Be Seen, I am actually doing a live cohort. So if you go to the link down in the description, you can read more about the program and when it starts. And I have a special code for you, which is podcast 100. Now that code is only going to work for this live round and for the first 100 signups, and it has already been used a bunch of times. So if you are sitting on the fence thinking about joining, this is your sign to jump in. This has been another episode in my Safe to Be Seen series. I hope it's got you fired up. I hope it's got you motivated to go and make some moves. Come back next week for another episode in this series. And don't forget, like I said, to go and check out the link in the description. Join me in Safe to Be Seen, the Magnetic Presence Method. We are starting in August, and I absolutely cannot wait to guide so many of you through this brand new program. I'm sending you so much love, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you for joining me for this episode. You can discover more from Mindspo on Instagram and TikTok by following @Mindspo and myself @Rochelle_Fox. If this episode inspired you, then please pass it on and share the love. And lastly, always remember, you create your own reality. So go and make some magic.